Hi there, KarenLoveLee. Here I am. Okay, so this is very exciting. I know it's been a while, and I just haven't been feeling it in my podcasting because there have been many things going on in my own life, and my private practice has been filling a lot of my time. But I have a very special person with me today, and she has been in coaching with me for just about 6 weeks now. And she's had massive results, breakthroughs beyond belief, beyond our wildest dreams in a lot of ways because of the old neuronal patterning versus creating new neuronal patterning that is empowering and self-worthy and building self-confidence and self-esteem. It all starts before adulthood, before the age of 19, closer to age 2, 3, and 4, under the age of 8. This is where we fundamentally get our beliefs and perceptions about ourselves, especially our unworthiness, and our perceptions about the world. And in working with this extraordinary human being, she has been able to really start to trust herself and build her confidence. And she's going to share with us her own personal breakthroughs and insights and the things that have helped her get to this new place within herself. That said, good morning, Rachel. How are you?
I am doing incredible. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast show.
Yay. Okay, so where do we start? I'll let you start, right?
We can start with trusting your intuition, if you want.
Yeah. Okay, I do want to. That is my soul thing that's closest to my heart. If I don't have my intuition, I have nothing. So let's talk about that. Trusting your intuition. So that has been the big breakthrough for you, correct? Your ability.
That is great.
Yes. So give us a snapshot. Before we started working together, tell me what was happening. Tell us what was happening.
Before we started working together, I was an absolute mess, a wreck. I have a history of, coming from abuse both in business and in personal. And so I was an absolute wreck. Like if I can go back far enough back into the past, I've always had that ability to know what a red flag was, but not really understand what it meant. And because of that, I had a lot of problems, both in business and in personal, of allowing people to use me, walk all over me, as well as abuse. But always deep inside knowing beforehand and not really listening to it. So it wasn't really until I started working with you that I understood what that meant, and I'm able to handle it a lot faster and know exactly a lot quicker whether something is good for me or whether it's not good for me, and not always have to be validated for it. So I'm a lot faster than I was before. Before, it could take me years to figure it out. I mean, and in something, it took me just a couple of weeks and even a couple of days. And so I feel like I'm getting a lot faster at recognizing it and not letting the same thing happen over and over, by actually learning to trust myself, because I am very intuitive as well. And I think most of us are. We just turn that part off in ourselves.
Yes.
And I don't want to do that anymore because it doesn't serve me. And it, it's funny because somebody said to me, well, you must be not an idiot. You must be, what's the word? Insane. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And I did that.
Yeah.
I had those characteristics. Let me do the same thing over and over so I can expect a different result. Well, that's not the case. And I got the same results over and over, and they weren't good. So just the ability to trust myself a little bit more, and I'm still working on it. Like in my own personal life, I want to work on every area of my life. I want to have control over the way I eat, over the way I think, say, what I do, and how I act. And I want to work on that constantly. For the last many years, I've been working on those characteristics. Well, now I can add in trusting myself, and work on trusting myself more, so it becomes a change in the pattern. And I'm able to do that like snapping my fingers quickly. No, I shouldn't do that. Or yes, I should do that. Instead of saying, well, what do you think about this so-and-so, and then going to 10 other people. Well, what do you think about this so-and-so, when I already knew the answer for myself? So that's kind of what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to thank you for helping me through this journey of changing the way that I process things.
Yes. Now, the key to the whole thing, right? We can say, oh, just go and trust your intuition. And people have probably just said that to you a lot. Why aren't you trusting yourself? Why aren't you trusting your intuition? Just trust it. And the reason why you weren't able to is because, and this is for all human beings, including myself as a human being, is that we can't fully trust ourselves without understanding why we don't trust ourselves in the first place.
Right.
Okay? And that's why my coaching techniques and technology are so effective, that it had to work for me first, and it did, thank goodness, otherwise I'd be dead. But it was understanding what I couldn't see, what was stopping me from trusting myself. That is the key. These are the best kept secrets. This is the real secret to the whole thing, is understanding why we're not trusting ourselves in the first place. And that's what we've been focusing on, is digging deep and seeing why you weren't trusting yourself, even though you told yourself your intuition was right on, but you just, like you said, had to go to all these other people to validate it, when why it seems so simple. Why didn't you just trust yourself in the first place, which is the wheel of insanity. So I want to say, in short, I had to, in order for me to still be alive and not dead by suicide and depression, I had to figure out and teach myself how to constantly get off the wheel of insanity. Get out of the insanity, the insane cycle of doing the same things expecting different results, which I love that you brought that up, Rachel, is that there is a way off the insanity wheel, but it's not what we think. It's not being told what to do. It's understanding why we're not doing it in the first place, based on the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind. So this is tremendous, and I love it, because it always comes down to what we don't know what to look for and what we cannot see, what is hidden. And again, that's a subconscious, unconscious phenomenon, what is hidden from our view. Now, that said, okay, I want to talk about your intuition. We met over a year ago, right, through our networking circles, and it was your intuition that was speaking, right? Remember when we first met and we were talking, and what did you...
You were going to be my coach.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
I told you were going to be my coach, and that was over a year ago. But I didn't know how I was going to get that, because you charge money. And at that time, I was struggling from an investment loss that I had, and I didn't have anything, and I didn't believe in myself either. So I was spinning down the insanity wheel of how am I going to do this. And I'm like, basically I said, okay, if it's meant to be, then it'll be meant to be. And then we just kind of, kept on talking for, the whole year, on and off. And then finally started working together.
Yes. Now let's talk about your intuitive sense, because when I first met you and we spoke, I do remember that. And, but financially you weren't in a place to start coaching. But then it was like, and I asked you, why me? You had other resources, other people to help you. You knew a lot of good people. What was it intuitively, looking back, that had you choose and know it was me? Because you had worked with other people and had other options. What was it?
I don't know. I kind of said, I wanted to attract the right person. And intuitively, I knew that you were good for me. I just wasn't ready then.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn more lessons. I had to continue down the wheel of insanity for an extra year and waste more time because I wasn't really fully getting it. And I was going through a whole lot of the time, and I just wasn't quite ready. And I think that when you're actually ready, and basically what I said to God was, I said, okay, God, I'm ready. Now send me the right people in my life to help me. And that's exactly what I did. And within like a week after saying that, like you kind of showed up back again. You called me, not even for coaching, but for something else. And we just developed that connection relationship. And, you know, it keeps happening where I pray and I say, God, show me the right people that are supposed to be in my life for a specific purpose. And I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to change. Just send me the help that I need. And he always does. It's almost like being in the boat. You know, you're in the water and you're stranded and God, send me a boat. So, and then a boat comes by and you don't take it. Now send me a plane and the plane comes by and you're like, oh, I'm waiting for a boat, or I'm waiting for being rescued. And they're like, I'm here. No. I'm waiting for, you know, the right person. And when it comes down to it, God's already sent you 5 people. You're not looking, you know, you're in that insane wheel.
Yeah.
And I really got to the point where I said, okay, I'm surrendering my entire life to you. And I just want you to send me the right people. And I believe that you did by having our paths cross again in the way that they did, you know, has really much changed everything. And it's all because I think I was totally surrendered and just ready to change. And you have to want to change. Like any addict, if they're not ready to make a change, you can't really help them. And I feel like, you know, everybody in the whole world has addictions of some kind.
Yes.
Whether it's the people-pleasing, food, you know, alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever it may be, work. You know, like everybody has their own addictions in their life, and it's about whether or not they're willing to make a change. And at that time last year, I wasn't ready to make a change. I wasn't ready to get out of my poor me mentality. I have a victim mentality. That's my addiction. I have an addiction to staying a victim in my mind and being a prisoner to the way I'm thinking. It makes me feel good, I guess, subconsciously. Or people pleasing, or getting validation from other people that I shouldn't. I should be getting that from only me, not from 15 other people that I have to talk to get down to the answer. And that's my personal addiction that I'm working on. But until I realize that, okay, I have this addiction, so understanding that it's something that I'm struggling with, and now I need to make a change. I believe God sends you the right people when you can admit that you have a problem. That's the first step. Even when you go to AA, and I've been to AA many times for friends. I mean, I don't struggle with alcohol at all, but I've been there for friends. And in AA, that's one of the first things. You have to admit that you're powerless. And I kind of had to do the same thing. I'm powerless over my personal addiction, and now I need to, you know, get the help. And the help can come to me. I don't have to go searching for it. I can just say, God, send me the right help. And he did. Like, you called me. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I want to talk.
How did that happen?
Exactly. So I want to talk about the intuition, right? That was the big key. Is at some level, you did say you're the coach for me because of my deep connection to my spirituality and my clairsentient abilities and my deep, profound intuition. Wasn't that?
Right.
Yes. The big thing. Now, I also want to address, you're not AA, you're, I think they call it like Codependent Anonymous. You're,
Al-Anon.
Yeah, Al-Anon, that's right. You're the codependent.
AA people, yeah.
Yes. And so, okay, so I was saying that you're the codependent, that is Al-Anon, but the addiction is still in play of you needing to be codependent, you needing to validate yourself through someone else, not a substance, but a person. That's what I believe codependency is. But also I want to address that in that year, you weren't ready because you were still coping. You were still in survival mode. You hadn't hit rock bottom. And that's what it usually takes. Only through crisis are we most motivated to change, and I added, and or transform, create newly, start life over, like a do-over. So in looking back in that year, I learned early on that we stay in it till we can't stand it a second longer. I learned that from Dr. Pat Allen years and years ago about that's true. We stay in it till we can't stand it a second longer, and you had hit that point. Isn't that correct?
It is, and so this is the first time I've ever shared anything on this level.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind sharing it. Do you want me to share the rock bottom?
Yes, absolutely. The more we share, that's what set me free. Is I just told people depression, suicide, whatever,
Well, it's really weird that I'm actually saying this on a podcast for everybody to hear, because if people know me, like, I do not share intimate personal details of my life. A lot of it's very surface. So even what I post on social media is very surface. Pictures of my kids. I would never go into detail of my story, perhaps, because it's just, I don't know. I've never done something like that. So it's kind of a little scary to be able to share like that much of an intimate detail with, as many readers as we'll get, because I'll gladly share it on my page too.
Right.
Rock bottom. Everybody has different experiences of rock bottom. For me, rock bottom is life or death. I had a lot of physical issues. How I handle things mentally and emotionally ties out into physical. So most people do not know that I have, in one of my projects that I did in real estate, I flipped a house, and there was a lot of toxic black mold, and I didn't know it. And I was working in environments that was toxic to my health, and I ingested a lot of black mold, and it wreaked havoc on my system, and it caused me to go into shock quite easily, and have what's called mast cells. So my cells, I have a lot of allergies, and allergies to stress, and a lot of different allergies. So I could have even to alkaline water. I would get violently ill and have to be in the hospital. I wouldn't be able to eat or drink, and I would have to go on prednisone to lower my immune response. So I trigger quite often. And most people don't know this about me, simply because I was always too embarrassed to share it. So because of this physical problem, a lot of it ties down to emotional. And at the rock bottom point, the more emotional I am, the more I go into what's called a systemic shock. And systemic shock is on the same level as sepsis. And if anybody knows, a lot of people die from sepsis, and you have to be hospitalized and on a ton of medication. It's happened to me so often, I know exactly what to do. I can go right into a hospital and say, listen, this is the medication I need to be on. Yes, I need two IVs, and I need, this, and that. So I'm a lot easier to be able to handle it, but it kept triggering. And it triggered so many times to the point of, I was in the hospital a lot because I was practically dying, to be honest.
Yes.
Physically and emotionally, I was dying. And there was a point where I got into an argument with one of my close friends, and I had a 45-minute drive, and I was crying the entire way. And this was recently. This was in March. This to make it. And I was crying as I was driving on the freeway, and I remember making a decision: are you going to live or die? Are you going to live or die? And I was almost like scratching myself and hitting myself because I was at the point of, am I going to live or die? Because very easily I could have given up physically. My body would just give out, and I would die.
Yes.
And I had to make that decision. 10 times I said to myself, I'm going to live. I choose to live. I choose to live. And for the next week after that, I had to make the same choice. And it's always a choice of I am choosing to live. And in the physical sense, I meant that. Not even in the spiritual or the emotional sense. I was literally hanging on by a thread physically. Because at any point I could give up and say, okay, just let the stressors take me. I don't really care anymore. And then bam, my immune system will give out and my body will die. And I knew that was happening. I could feel it. And so as I'm making the decision to live, then I have to realize, okay, I'm going to choose to live emotionally. Okay, now I'm going to choose to live spiritually. Okay, now I'm going to choose to actually live and not just like survive. I don't want to continue just to survive. What's the point of living when you're not actually really living? And so as, I'm actually working with you at the time that this is all happening. And I'm so thankful because if I didn't have you helping me and coaching me, then I would not have survived. And I know it. And I know 100% sure that if I didn't have you helping me, that I wouldn't be strong enough to make that choice. But I had already chosen that I wanted to do something about it, and I wanted to make a change, but I didn't quite know how to. And I think a lot of times as an addict, that's what people struggle with is, okay, now I want to make a change, now I don't know what to do. And I think it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe they are rock bottom. And I believe that at that point, God will send the right person. And he will send the right person to you, however it may look, however it may be, because you're totally surrendered. And that's kind of where I had to get rock bottom to the point where I'm going to live or die, and also to the point where I can actually see the hope and reach out for it and accept it. It's kind of like, in Christianity, people accepting the gift of salvation. It's a very, very similar process. I had to come to the point where I needed to make a change. I needed to repent of what I was doing and acknowledge that I needed to make a change and actually accept that it is possible for me to get help. It is possible for me to be alive and to actually live, and it's possible for me to thrive and have a wonderful, amazing life. And it's still really hard because I do struggle with going back to that place of not as much anymore of choosing to live because I feel like I'm at a better place, but going back to my tendencies to be codependent, my tendencies to need other people to make me feel a certain way. It's like a drug. And I can tell you so many different people, I felt so good around them. And that was my drug. And I used them in a sense of they make me feel good, so I got to keep them around, even if they were bad for me, mentally, emotionally, whatever it may be. It made me feel good, and it was a drug. It's just a different type of a drug. And, in society, we look down on alcoholics. We look down on drug addicts. We look down on all these different people. But we don't need to because it's a very similar thing. A lot of us, it's just a different way of looking at it. And people struggle with weight. They struggle with so many different things that we struggle with. And we're so quick to say, well, you're beneath me because you struggle with that. Well, no, it's all the same. And I think a lot of us need to come together and realize that everybody in the entire world is struggling.
Yes.
Nobody is exempt.
Right.
And we all need to be more conscious of that and understand that no, we're not the only ones struggling. We can't look at the mirror and say, well, you're the only one going through this. Nobody else is. Because it's not true. And as I go down this journey, I meet so many other people that are struggling with a very similar thing as I am.
Yes.
A very similar thing. And they're just as broken as I am. But they don't have all the help that I have. And as I'm looking down this journey, I'm thinking, I'm the only one, and I'm all by myself, and I'm alone, and nobody cares. And if I look back at it, and I think to myself, I have both of my parents. I have two amazing kids. I have an amazing ex-husband who's supportive. I mean, who gets that?
Right.
I have a support system. I have my cousins. I have an amazing group of friends. My friends are incredible. Every single one of them is supportive. I have my business partners who are supportive. I mean, I've got this humongously amazing team that I didn't even think about because I was so worried in my own self that I didn't realize that these people are actually here to help me.
Right,
and
exactly.
Maybe it's not the way that I see it because I don't need them, I need me. And I think until I looked and I was grateful for exactly what I had. I mean, I've got Karen, I've got another business coach that's helping me on the business side. I've got so much I can be thankful for that the average person who's starting with the same thing doesn't have.
Right.
And I think that's the difference is, God not only sent me one person, he sent me so many amazing people. And instead of looking at all the negative, I can look at the positive and say, wow, I should be grateful for everything that I'm given because it could always be worse. And as I'm traveling, I do a lot of traveling. I'm sitting on a plane. I'm coming back from Austin, Texas, and I'm on a plane. And there's this guy sitting next to me with no legs. And I was like, holy cow, I want to hear a story. So we talked for the entire trip. And he told me, I told him my story, and he's looking at me, he's going, I don't know how you did it. How? How did you get through that? And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him going, you have it worse. He's like, no, you have it worse. And I was like, whoa, he's telling me I have it worse? He's like, yeah, the things you've been through, it's emotional. I didn't have to go through that. And I'm sitting here going, are you kidding me? And then we finally got to the point, I'm like, well, my stuff is there, but, financially, yes, I took a loss in one of my businesses, but I can always recover. You can't grow your legs back,
Yeah.
Self-perspective, he's
Absolutely.
giving me encouragement, and I'm giving him encouragement, and we're both just, I don't know. It just was very interesting to me. So
yes.
That's off topic.
Okay, but hang on. I want to backtrack here because the person we're hearing right now was not the person that I knew before you started with me, point blank.
Not at all.
No. And the reason why you couldn't see all the blessings in your life is because you were so addicted to being a victim and a martyr and a poor me. And when the brain is focused on the fear of poor me, it can't be logical and rational to see all the blessings. But I also want to say in our work together, that happened, you meeting, it's all divine intervention and divinely orchestrated. You sat on that plane after we started working together, and that was no accident for you to sit next to a man with no legs. It's all working. But I want to say a couple things. You had hit rock bottom. The body is the unconscious. The body's the unconscious. So whatever we're not dealing with subconsciously, but mostly unconsciously, will show up in our bodies as disease, dis-ease. And that's why you were getting to such a point. You had to take that whole year to get worse and worse and worse to finally wake up. I had to hit rock bottom. Most people have to hit rock bottom. Okay, if people didn't hit rock bottom, how great would that be? But unfortunately, that is the human condition overall in a general sense. But all, again, perfect. Because that's what has us wake up and go, wait a minute, do I want to keep going? Do I want to live? Or do I want to give up? And the thing is, I circled back because you called it in. You said, I don't want to give up. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to give up, and I'm not giving up, and that's what did it. It was that part of you were fighting whether to give up or not, but it was that little extra part that said, no, I'm not going to give up. That little spark of hope is what I picked up on spiritually, intuitively to circle back. But I actually I called you because I was called in a different direction with someone else who's extremely broken. And then that person led me in a weird way to call you. And then that's how you and I reconnected. But it had been you who put out the message to God. You know, whether you believe in God or not, doesn't matter. You put out the call. And I go where I'm spiritually called, energetically, vibrationally, intuitively. And then I show up in your path. And then the things that have happened since have been lining up to support you in alignment with you being willing to receive the coaching, ask for the coaching, get the coaching, and make that commitment in your brokenness. Yes?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And so we can only help the ones that are willing to receive help. And when we first met, you weren't there yet. But now you had no other choice but to wake up and go, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. I need help. Who are these people to help me? And then I was one of those to show up. And then you worked it out. You figured it out. I never tried it. People have to come to me. I'm not a people person. I don't go out. I sit and people come toward me. And so you did. So it goes both ways, but we really want to emphasize it was you who said, okay, I'm ready. I can't do this alone. I need help. And in that, I can only help the ones who are wanting to be helped. And if I tried to help everyone, which is what codependency is, I run the line of codependency also, as I've been trying to help those who aren't ready to be helped, like my sister who died in 2006. She didn't want help. She wasn't asking. She wasn't open. And I'm trying to force the help onto her, but it wasn't working. So I've learned my lesson the hard way. And I love that because you asked for it, you ultimately made the first decision. And then everything started to fall into place from there. Yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So then, Rachel, what was it that I've been teaching you or that you've been getting in our work together that has shifted you into this, you finally understanding you've got to deal with yourself and not go out and try to get it from everyone else, validate yourself through other people. Do you remember what it was or what I said or how I facilitated that made the difference?
So what we do typically is go back to different things in childhood, and kind of go back into that and really focus on what was the trigger. And if I can get back to the trigger of what caused it, I can realize, okay, it's all an illusion. Everything that we've been looking at was my story and my perception of it, and it wasn't based on truth. Mm-hmm. And so I think you've been helping me to understand what is truth and what is not.
Yes.
So the different things that happened in childhood, it was my perception from a child's perspective. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm grown up and an adult, I mean, it doesn't even make any sense anymore because it wasn't the actual truth. So going back in and working with you, you're able to help me point to the truth and not what an illusion or a lie was back in those days. So that's kind of, something that's been very much helpful and has helped me to change my perspective more. And as we work, it becomes easier, I guess you could say, and faster to realize, okay, well, that's not right. It was actually this. And now I am able to heal it faster and kind of move on. So kind of like, I feel like I'm in school again.
Mm-hmm. You are. Yes.
I'm learning.
Yes.
Everything is about learning. And I think that you're my teacher. You're the teacher. And it's hard to go to school and not have a teacher because you don't quite get it. Well, I'm learning 6th grade math and I don't know anything about it. How am I going to learn it? You have to have a teacher teach you. And I think you're that teacher to teach me things that I didn't quite get and understand until it's explained to me. And then I can move on to the next concept and then to the next grade and finally graduate and be whole or be myself, And I think it's all about learning. And if we stop learning in our lives, then we're going to die.
Yes.
I feel like we should be learning until the day that we die. new principles, anything, growing, making ourselves better. And I think we're put on this earth to, yes, to glorify God, but also to learn and grow as much as we can in every area of our lives, and not to be complacent and not to quit and to give up when things get hard. And if anybody's had it hard, it's all by my choice, of course. But I was talking to a person that I'm working with, and this person has been, raped. This person has been abused. It was in many, many, many different foster homes. I mean, you name it. This guy's got a story. And I said, well, how did you get past this? And he says, my story was given to me by God to help other people. And I think we all have a story that's given by God to help other people. It's just how we choose to look at it. And my story is something I created. Everything is stuff that I've created because of mostly poor choices and not believing in myself. And a lot of it's self-inflicted.
It is based on your... Yes, but based on your childhood perceptions, that's where it all starts. All the programming is set and done by the age of 8, and our self-defense coping mechanisms are all set. That's what I firmly believe and have lived. Yes, and you're exactly right. I love everything that you're saying, but this time it's back, because you have said these things before, but this time it's more grounded, and this time there's a different energy of confidence that's coming through with you that was never there in the time that I've known you. And that's what's so wonderful, refreshing, and amazing, because I had to do the same thing. We have to hit rock bottom. We have to go through more crisis until we wake up, and then we have a choice. Do we want to stay or do we want to go? And a lot of times that is my specialty, having come from suicide and a suicide attempt that I failed miserably at. And so the thing here we want people to know, and what I believe was missing for you, is number one, I do believe we're all spiritual beings in a human experience in the form of a human body, and in human beingness. I call myself a divine messenger. I'm just the messenger or master teacher to teach human beings how to be human. I'm the lead trainer. There's no manual. There is no manual to learn how to be human, and why we do the things that we do, and why we don't do the things that we want to do, and why we do things that we don't want to do. And that's the problem. And I connect highly spiritual beings to their humanness. And the reason I'm so great at it is only because I lived it and experienced it for myself. I came in as a highly evolved spiritual being, but I could not reconcile this human form crap. And I was born going, you are all insane. I am not dealing with humanness. And I want to just be a spiritual being. Do not put me on this little blue-green marble in the human suit, because I don't like it. And that has been my whole problem my entire life. And then I had to train to understand what it is to be human, and then how to function as a human at the highest realm on the little blue-green marble. And I connect high spiritual beings to humanness, and then just train people how to use their brain, the human brain, for themselves, not against themselves. And how to teach people not to be their own worst enemy within themselves, only because nobody was better at sabotaging their life and having everything on the outside than me. Nobody. I'm sorry. I want to take the award because nothing made sense to me. Okay?
Right.
And we talked about that, is connecting you to your humanness and having you understand why your humanness wasn't falling in alignment with your spiritualness. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why you've been able to reconcile being human and get your health back. You're on your way to really dealing and facing head on your fears, face everything and rise, all your fears about your health, and transforming that, turning it around for the best. And now you have made a commitment to deal with your health, which is so incredible. And that's what we've been focusing on. Yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So,
Healing.
Yes, healing. Because we can, with the brain, we have to go back and heal all the childhood wounds and understand them from our mind's point of view and our perceptions. And then we have to allow it to integrate so that your body now can follow suit. Yes? Now your body can re-heal. Well, actually can heal itself. And that's what's happening now. And you've been feeling better, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about just some in real life successes. The things that you were a victim about. Like one example in your life where you're like, oh, I can't do this, or you were resisting something and you saw yourself sabotaging, and now that's turned around for you. Do you have any examples you'd like to share about that?
Well, I've self-sabotaged so many different things, from relationships to money to health. I mean, almost everything. So, I mean, I'm not going to get into too much detail.
Well, what's the biggest area in your life that you can see a massive breakthrough as an example that you'd like to share?
So I guess a breakthrough would be even in finance.
Yes.
I took a significant loss in one of my businesses. Think of it like I really can't even believe I'm sharing this. In one of my businesses, think of it like back in depression days, where somebody would commit suicide after, things that happened. Even in 2008,
yes,
people committed suicide. That's kind of where I was. I equated financial stability with a reason to live. I know that sounds ridiculous, when
it's not though. It's very common. Even though it is ridiculous, it's very common and scary. But go ahead.
Right. And so, taking a loss and hit more than one, actually, in different businesses, was almost too much, almost more than I could handle. And, yes, I've made lots of money in the past, and I've lost a lot of money in the past. But it was probably the trigger that kind of triggered everything, because I equated that to failure. And if I'm going to fail, then what's the point of even living? And I equated financial, even though I'm not materialistic, I am very minimalistic. I believe less is more. Even in my personal belongings, that it's not about materials. I equated the energy of money to being stable and being secure. Instead of finding it in myself, I looked at it in money. If I have money, then I am everything. And I know a lot of people do the same thing.
Yes.
But as I'm looking, money does not bring my happiness at all. And I see stories after stories of mega rich people who are extremely miserable because they don't quite get it either. That money does not bring happiness. Yes, you need money to survive. You need money to help other people. But it doesn't bring the inner happiness of what people, are looking for. And you can't look for that in stuff. You can't look for that in relationships and codependency. You have to look at that, through God.
So what was it, though, yes, that we worked on that shifted that for you?
So we worked on the fact that even going back to even my grandma back when I was 8, and she, I drew this beautifully amazing painting, and she told me that it looked horrible, and I took it as, okay, I'm worthless. And those thoughts and feelings of worthlessness as an 8-year-old going, my grandmother doesn't even like my painting, what's the point? That set a precedent of self-sabotage in my life. And going back and dealing with that issue back then has helped to transform the way I view myself and to give me a little more confidence that if I look at that painting was amazing. Even my sister said my painting was better than hers. And my grandmother praised my sister's painting and said mine looked horrible. And like nowadays, my painting was very abstract. I'm creative. I think outside the box. It wasn't like everybody else's painting.
Right.
And
connect that to the
beautiful.
Yes, but connect that now to the money.
So connecting it to the money is, am I worth it? Yes, I'm worth it. Do I have ability to make money? Absolutely. I don't need to live in a state of worthlessness any longer because I have the ability and I'm not going to self-sabotage myself. And it was a lot of self-sabotage.
Yes.
I would choose, something that I knew wasn't going to work, and I didn't trust my intuition. It goes back to the intuition thing as well. If I take on this project, or I work with this person, or I take on this new business, it's not going to work. And I maybe knew that intentionally, and I did it to self-sabotage. Like now I can look back and go, okay, I totally did that unintentionally. I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm quicker to be like, is that person somebody I should work with? Is that project something I should take on? And I'm a lot quicker now to judge, is this going to work out beforehand? And it does go back to intuition. And I wouldn't have been able to see that if I hadn't been working with you, because I wasn't trained for that. And you're trained to show people exactly things that have happened in the past to relate it to today so they don't make the same mistake and continue down the cycle of insanity for 25 years, which is exactly what I did.
Yes. Okay, hang on.
I guess
hang on. So we just got to connect the dots back to the money. You're using your money to prove that you weren't a failure. You're defining yourself by the money you had and didn't have. And we have worked to have you no longer do that based on illusions and perceptions. That's right. All a lie. And it did go back to feeling worthless at 8 years old over a beautiful piece of art. And that's what most people don't understand. They don't look for it. They don't see it. They don't care to see it. Oh, the past is a past. Oh, no. It matters. It matters. And now you are in a place with your finances where you're not defining yourself as a failure because you had losses like the rest of us.
Right.
Yeah. And so now I want you to stay with, you were defining yourself by your finances and being a failure. And now how are you feeling about your money, your finances? And
much better, because, it's funny that, I went to this event with a really, really high investor. And as an investor, I was in the room and I've never felt so incredibly, with people that I'm supposed to be with. Just I felt so connected to these people. Mm-hmm. And as I'm sharing my story, they looked at me and they said, you know what, I've had the same thing happen to me. I've had the same thing happen. And every person I talked to had the same story as me. Their loss and the failure and how they got out of it. And I looked at myself and I said, okay, they've all had the same experiences multiple times, for even more money than I took a loss for. And I think as I'm sharing, yes, we've established these losses, we still deep down inside have the ability to make the money, because almost everybody who's been successful today has had a tremendous loss.
Right.
They've had to learn from their mistakes.
Yes.
And I'm no different.
I'm sorry, but here's
I'm no different.
Yes, you're no different. But here's the difference. You were ashamed and embarrassed to share all of that.
Never would have done that.
Never. Unless we had worked on it and I had you understand you are so not alone.
Yeah, never. I can't even tell. I would never share my story. Mm-hmm. Not one time, because I was too embarrassed. Mm-hmm. But I mean, yes, as I'm working with you and understanding that I feel safe, and so many people have done this, and if I don't share my story, I can't help other people.
Right.
And never in a million years would I have done this without working with you. Never.
And then you felt even more connected, and you attracted some really great people in our work. That's how we do this. You've been attracting people that have not been serving you in the past because you've been on that wheel of insanity. And now that you're stepping off that wheel, you're now have the ability to attract those other humans that you consciously have been wanting to attract. Yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's how this works.
So we do attract who we are.
Yes. Yes. And so this is why you are here now, and why I'm here now, and why this is so effective and makes a difference only for those people who are wanting to really grow. And it's true, we're either growing or dying, and I know death all too well, so I stay focused on growing, knowing the other option is horrifying and disastrous. And at every moment, we continue to grow, even when I don't even want to do this. I love coaching my clients. That is my favorite thing ever. But sometimes I'm with myself. I'm like, I don't want to work on it. I need a break. I need to ride my horse. I need to play with my animals. It always comes back to why this is so important and why we're doing this, to share all of your successes. All of your successes, right? This is magnificent. So what is the one... So far, it's only been 6 weeks, it's like, oh my God. What's your number one breakthrough, like the best thing you've gotten so far? Number one.
The number one thing that I've gotten is to really understand myself a little bit more. And to understand that I'm worth it and I'm enough. And I have everything that I could possibly need. I don't need to continue to go outside, God and myself to find all the answers, because they're already within us. He's already given us the answers that we need. And by validating myself and other people is not serving me, and it's making me die, basically. Mm-hmm. So I've learned, that's probably the biggest thing, is understanding that he's already given us everything that we could possibly ever need. We just need to accept it and take it. Kind of like the gift of salvation, just in a different way. And I think that until I finally understood that, I can't go on.
Yes.
So that's probably the biggest thing that I've realized, and it actually makes sense and clicks now. And I can live. So I guess living again.
Oh, that's so genius. That's brilliant. Exactly. Because my next question was, so how are you feeling about life?
It's worth it. Mm-hmm. Now, my days of struggling to choose to live are a lot less. In fact, the last couple weeks, I haven't even had to choose it anymore. It's already ingrained in me that you're just going to live. Okay? Mm-hmm. I haven't had to say it. I choose to live anymore. Probably in at least 2 weeks, I haven't even said the words. I haven't not even, probably 2.5 weeks now, maybe more. Mm-hmm. I haven't had to say I choose to live like I did every day. I had to literally say it to myself, I choose to live. I choose to live every day. And I don't have those feelings anymore and if it comes back and I have to say it again, then I'll just say it, because now it's more ingrained in me to, okay, I'm going to live. And it's not just live as in surviving. I want to live and experience life.
Yes.
Because my ultimate goal is to help other people, and if I can't help myself first, I can't help other people. So I guess that's kind of, as that type of a codependent, I would give and give and give until I had absolutely nothing left to give.
Right.
And to the point where I was dying, and that's how I cope, is by helping other people and by giving financially, whatever it may be, time. I would give and give and give, and that was not serving me, and it wasn't respecting myself. And I was being almost like a whore.
Yes. Yes. Metaphorically, yes. It's metaphoric prostitution. I want to speak into this because this is brilliant. is
but I
that
didn't get money from it.
except what?
Except I didn't get money.
I know, right? You were a not so smart whore because you weren't even making money. Yeah, but you were, and it is metaphoric prostitution. Both men and women can do this, and they do, and we do in a way, but you were giving to a fault. So what you were doing as a codependents are givers. Addicts are takers, right? The dependent, so there's codependent, the giver, the dependent, the taker. Okay, so you're giving in hopes of feeling better and more alive within yourself, that life is worth it. And all along, you are depleting yourself. You are raping yourself. Do you understand? That's what we do metaphorically. You are depleting yourself of all your resources, everything you have inside, and ultimately you fed right back into dying instead of living. It's counterintuitive. And so what we're doing, and what I do, is I have people fall madly, passionately in love with themselves and understanding why their human beingness matters and why they need to train and read the manual. Read the freaking manual and then train and practice it. And then boom, now that you've realized and you keep saying it over and over, the number one thing is you finally have yourself and your connection to your own self-worth and self-respect. Yes? And so in that, the more you fill your cup and it run overeth, the more you can actually give effectively. And this is why you feel like living, because you finally have yourself. And we're still going. This never ends. We do this until we die in this human form. I believe in past lives, and we keep doing it over and over and over. But this time we're training for empowerment. We're training for magic and a magnificent life. And that's what has made the difference, is that you keep saying yourself and God and yourself. I do believe it's yourself first. You'll even have a more profound relationship to and with God. And so the more you understand how to love yourself and feel self-worthy, the more life is worth living, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, we could do this forever and ever. I'm going to have you back on because you're amazing. And everything you have to say, you are such a brilliant light. I've said that from the beginning. You have such a beautiful spirit. You have so much inspiration. And you don't have to do anything extra. Just be you and keep doing, keep training, keep practicing, keep being coachable. But in wrapping it up here, what last words of wisdom would you like to share in terms of working with me and your life right now as we speak?
Okay, so I have not been paid to say this, by the way. That's just a disclaimer. But if anybody is struggling, I would highly recommend. So again, she's not tell me to say this, she's not paying me to say this, but if anybody is struggling, I would highly recommend that they work with you, because it saved my life, and I've cried on the phone with her, and I told her, and I thanked her and I said to you even last couple days ago, actually, I said, you saved my life, because I wouldn't be here. And if anybody is at that point, I would highly recommend that they work with you. I mean, I can't even say words to even describe that. So,
wow.
I would highly, I'm going to say it again, highly, highly, highly recommend that they work with you, because it changed my life and it will change other people's lives. So,
oh my gosh. I didn't expect you to say that, and I thank you so much for that. And yes, you were not paid. That was a disclaimer. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And here's the thing. That's big. That's a little almost too much for me to take in, that I saved your life. It moves me to tears, because I know, and I had to learn the hard way with my sister, that it wasn't up to me to save her life, but it was up to me to empower her to want to save her own life. And that's what I've done for you.
Yeah. Well, in one session, you told me, you said, okay, just give up, just die. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Well, I think you might remember that episode. If you want to go die, then choose it. And I'm like, I don't want to die. Well, then don't do it. So if you tough love, I think if you want to work with somebody that is going to tell you everything you want to hear, then don't work with Karen.
Right.
You know, like don't do it, because she's not going to tell you what you want to hear. She's going to tell you what you need to hear, and it's up to us to decide, choose it, and to make the changes. Because,
yes.
You know, not everybody is meant to work with you.
No, that they are not. I love what you just said. Say that again. Say what you just said about, I will not tell you what you want to hear.
No, you will not tell us what we want to hear. You're going to tell us what we need to hear. And that's something I like is, you know, I'm used to people telling me what I want to hear, especially in my industry, in my field of work. You know, everybody tells you what you want to hear. They want to feed that positive thing inside you to make you feel better. And that's not always healthy. You know, we need to hear the truth and love. So you're not saying it from a perspective of looking down on us, but from a perspective of, I love you, I want to help you. If I tell you the truth, if I don't tell you the truth, then I'm not loving you. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you the truth in love in hopes that it wakes you up to reality of reality.
Wow. That is so awesome. I'm getting chills. Okay, so let me just recap that. Yeah, I will not tell you what you want to hear, but I will have you hear and understand the very thing that you need to hear that will make the difference, which is what saved my life. Yes. And it is a tough love approach. Statistics and research shows now that this is actually more effective. It is because it's counterintuitive. Now, also, if I tell you what you want to hear, people, I'm feeding into your codependency. I'm feeding into the insanity. I'm feeding into the dis-ease, and I will not do it. I've already lived and failed. I failed at that. Okay? And I know now what is most effective. Now, I love that when people say to me, it's counterintuitive. What I really do is if when people say, oh, I don't think I want to live anymore, I allow you to just be with that. And then I present the options and share my stories of I was there way too many times. I get it. I'm not saying go off yourself, go kill yourself. No, I'm saying I'm listening and I'm honoring where you are in this moment. And if you don't feel like living, which by the way, every single freaking human being on the planet has thought that or will think it in their lifetime on numerous occasions. Okay? It's what we resist persists, and we have to allow ourselves to be where we are, and it keeps working over and over again. And I choose to honor where you are, but the moment I called you on it, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. See? And that's what it woke you up when I said, okay, if that's how you feel, you could actually do that. You could choose not to live. And that woke you up. So we have that, what we need to hear, yes, because that's what did it for me. Every one of the coaches and trainers that worked with me, it was the ones who are willing to say, call me on my crap, that woke me up, and it made the most difference. And that's right, I don't train everybody. I train the top of the top of the top, the Olympians, the ones who can take it, the ones who are willing to hear the very thing they don't want to hear that will make the difference and shift and catapult everything. And so I love that you said that, Rachel, right? Not everyone's meant to be an Olympian, not even close. They're not even meant to like be even just national level in sports, for example. And so by you saying that is so genius. And by the way, I don't want to coach everyone. It takes a lot for me to do what I do. And I do specialize in people who are willing to be coachable and trainable and who never stop. And that is you, Rachel. That is you. You have it in you, right? And on that note, my God, I talked about that. Oh, the tough love approach. Yes, because I've lived it. Oh my gosh, as a matter of fact, I almost chose not to live. My friend was really nice about it. my friend was really nice with this British accent, you know, is raised in London. And he's like, I'd like to help you. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But you know who got me to really get help? Was the one person who said, F you, what are you doing? Your life is effed up. Just go get help. That was the person who made me move. The one who called me on my crap. Yeah. And so this is so wonderful. I love that you say that. And let's see, what else do we want to say? There was something else, but I don't know what it was. Do you know what it was? There's something else you said that was really great. Tough love. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But this is not for everyone.
No.
But if it is for you, you know, you can email me at KarenLoveLee@gmail. You can find me, #KarenLoveLee. You can just Google me and I'll show up. Message me. And if anything you related to with Rachel sharing her magnificent, miraculous story so far, you know, we're just getting started. Let me know that as well. And I love that acknowledgement and endorsement and recommendation, Rachel. I can't thank you enough for sharing that and sharing parts of you that you were afraid to share. It's
definitely,
yeah, that part that really makes a difference in other people's lives, and why I do this podcast, The Power of Self-Evolution, is because when we share our truth, it actually radiates out by the ripple effect and emanates so much power that we can't even articulate it. So I want to thank you for being part of that. And
well, thank you for having me.
You're amazing. Like I don't even know. You're phenomenal, and you're such an angel. You're an earth angel in training to accept your human suit. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I'm about to sing the song Earth Angel. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead. Sing the song. Do you know it?
Okay, I'm not advanced yet to singing that much in front of people.
Okay.
Once in a while, I will post something on my page. So if they want to, you know, hear that, they can go to my page. But I don't know it that well.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, your page, so what is your, page? Rachel?
Oh, it's just my personal page. It's public though. Rachel Lee Coppola is my business page, and Rachel Roder Coppola is my personal page.
Okay, if they want to find you. So they can, okay, so if anyone wants to contact you or even ask you more about our coaching, right? You're happy to talk to them? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if they can send me a message, I don't friend request people that I don't really know.
Right.
But if you send me a message, Rachel Roder Coppola is my personal page, and I would definitely do a full-on recommendation if, you know, references. For sure. So, I mean, that's what you did. You said, you need references. I'm going to give you references to past clients. I'm like, yeah, I really don't need it. I already know. But, you know, like, you're like, well, here's the reference. Well, if some people need a reference, I would be more than happy to give a recommendation and share my entire story with them. They can just send me a message. I do check my spam messages, so they can, you know, send me a message on Facebook.
Okay. So
or you can give my email. And you can give anything.
Oh, okay. So, how about your email? Go ahead.
My email is savingandmore@gmail.com. savingandmore@gmail.com.
Okay, wait a minute. Saving, S-A-V, like savings account, right? Like saving.
Like saving money.
Oh! Saving and, A-N-D, correct?
Yes, and more.
Yeah, M-O-R-E, just like the word saving and more. S-A-V Victor, I-N Nancy, G, A Apple, N Nancy, D David, more, M Mary, O R Robert, E Elephant. Yes, at Gmail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Rachel. And so if you want to contact Rachel, feel free to contact her directly at Gmail. And we are so excited. Thank you, Rachel, for being here and sharing all your love and light with us and helping all those who do listen. And we're excited to have you back, and we will. And wow, this is just the beginning. So buckle up, people. Buckle up for the ride of your life. Thank you all for listening. And we will talk to you again soon. I love you all. Thank you.